Now, when it comes to actually making money from the channel, basically what it comes down to is 70% of YouTube is men. So now let's talk about how much money you think you're gonna need. Honestly, I was scared. I'm not even lying. This dude was flying and it was raining. Personally, I was always skeptical. You know, I actually wanted to do a YouTube channel like 4 years ago. So if you clicked on this video, it's probably because you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel here in Asia. And it's becoming increasingly popular, and the number of YouTube channels is growing very quickly, especially the travel content post-COVID. So let me first start by saying I'm no expert, definitely not an expert. You know, I have a small channel and I'm just gonna give you my experience. That's pretty much it, just my experience, and that's all. I can't do anything else. I'm gonna tell you what it's been like for me, some tips that I have, some advice, some things that would have made it easier for me before I decided to take the plunge. So for me personally, I've been watching YouTube for years, a really, really long time. And I always wanted to make YouTube videos. And when I decided I wanted to come to Asia, I thought, man, I could finally do YouTube, and that'd be a way I can make some money and something that I've always wanted to do. And I thought it would be fun. So the first thing I would say is you have to commit. There's really no half of the road. It's pretty much all in when it comes to the YouTube here. I've heard about some YouTubers, they travel, they like to go home and then they like to come back. Unless you have a ton of content that you film and you're constantly pumping it out, you kind of have to live, in my opinion. You have to come here and stay and live here to really do the Asian YouTube travel right. Another big thing that honestly I feel like a lot of people struggle with is there's so many people that are starting out the YouTube channel. Everything's the same. Everybody's doing the same thing. It's the same ideas, including myself, by the way. I'm just recycling old videos. And I think if you are gonna start a video, try to find something unique, something different. You just gotta watch all the other channels and kind of see what other people aren't doing. Kind of find your own little niche, because there's always new channels that are growing quickly in the travel genre. They're always doing something a little bit different. If you really look at the videos, it's a little bit different. Maybe they're a little more edgy, maybe they're a little more shameless. They do things that other YouTubers won't do, and they kind of steer away from the recycled content that keeps coming over and over again. Now, when it comes to actually making money from the channel, I haven't made too much. I think I made a little over $1,100 or $1,200. And that's a lot of hours of work. That's thousands of dollars of costs for traveling. But, you know, it takes time, you know, but once you get it going, and I've seen other channels, and here's the biggest thing, you know, a lot of people make it risque, you know, they put girls in the videos and stuff like that, and I'm trying to stay away from that, to be honest. That's the easiest way to kind of get your channel to take off. As far as the editing and stuff goes, I just use the free iMovie on my MacBook. I still use that software. I use PicMonkey for my thumbnails. I definitely need a lot of improvement. I like to say when I do my editing, I just trim the fat from the video. I really do. Kind of cut around, do a bunch of cuts. I don't do too much of I don't do any color correction or anything like that. And honestly, I think my editing does need to get better because, you know, it makes the video a lot more enjoyable, obviously. You know, to be honest, the hardest thing for me thus far is being consistent. It's being consistent, and it's also coming up with new ideas and just consistently putting out videos. Because like I said before, people do the same videos, you know, they recycle. It's the same videos. There's only so many topics that you can do. Luckily, I'm in Vietnam and there's not a lot of YouTubers here. So there's not oversaturation of content here. Now, as far as the longevity goes with the YouTube, it's hard to say. You know, a lot of the big YouTubers like Mr. Beast and a couple of the other really big guys, they say YouTube's really just at the tip right now. And YouTube's kind of starting to turn into this Netflix almost, you know? And the amount of production and money that's getting spent into it getting higher and higher. And it's becoming essentially like the new Hollywood, I guess you could say, in a lot of ways. Personally, I was always skeptical. You know, I actually wanted to do a YouTube channel 4 years ago already, maybe almost 5 years ago. Travel one. At that time, 5 years ago, there wasn't many good travel channels on YouTube. I thought it was too late. Too bad I didn't start this thing 5 years ago. Could you imagine? Even as mediocre of my channel as it is, 5 years ago, if I stayed consistent, this thing would be pumping hard right now. But I think there's a lot of room. Another channel I follow, they kind of do more of the data and the analytics of YouTube. They speak about that more. And they say even though there's so many new creators, a lot of people fall off. It gets recycled. You know, YouTube's very difficult, you know, especially when there's no money coming in and you just pumping out all these videos. For instance, my last video, honest review, I mean, I spent 5 hours editing that thing. It took really long. It's a basic edit, you know, and then the thumbnail took an hour and making it took another hour. So it's, you know, all that time, you kind of have to enjoy it. I might get lucky, fingers crossed, and that video might kind of take off, but most likely nothing's gonna come of it. You know, it's just gonna be another video on my channel. Let's talk about the equipment. So me personally, I'm using the GoPro 10. It's basically what I've used to film all of my videos. Also bought a DJI Mavic Air 2S, which I don't use often here, but it was great for using in the beach. Now, what I will say, I wish what I had now is I wish I had the Sony, I think it's the EV10, like the mid-range. It's about $800 and it's supposed to be like the nicest camera before you go really expensive. Because for the GoPro, it's hard to kind of get these like eye shot angles, you know? It would give my videos a lot better quality if I could zoom in more. But what I will say is now, with the new iPhones, they are just insane. I mean, the new iPhones are crazy. I got a buddy here who like went to the Himalayas and he uses iPhone. I mean, the video's sick. It's so good, it's insane. And even the zoom and stuff, you can get a lot of good depth with the iPhone. If it comes to that point, I might even just get a new iPhone because then it's easy, it's functional. You know, you can edit on it, you can just transfer everything over because I have an Apple laptop. I mean, for me, this GoPro is awesome. I take it in the water, take it on the motorbike. You can just do still shots like this. It's all around a really good camera, you know, and they're only getting better too. But you don't need as much equipment as you think. Definitely don't really need my drone. It is really nice to have. I'm glad I bought it. I paid about $900 for it, $1,000, and it's amazing. You know, the footage is so cool to see. It's definitely not a necessity. So now let's talk about how much money you think you're gonna need. 5 months I was traveling, I was like $6,000 or $7,000 for the traveling. I didn't stay in any hostels, I didn't do anything like that because to me, I don't wanna do that. But it could have been a lot cheaper, you know, if I chose to just stay in the hostels. Definitely spend a lot more money on food too than some people would normally spend or could spend. And I wasn't too crazy, I don't drink, I don't party or anything like that. So I think I'm pretty medium, but like I said, it could have been cheaper, a lot cheaper. Like if you really wanted to do it the budget way, you could have cut that in half probably. People get really frugal. I'm not really into the backpack type travel, like the super frugal. It's not really my deal. And sometimes I think it's better because it's just as efficient sometimes to be like the backpack style and take a bus or take a local bus versus taking taxis. At times, there's the right time and a wrong time for that. I'll give you one example. There was the taxis, they were selling taxis because the airport is actually fairly far from Patong Beach, which is where one of their main areas are. I believe it was $60 to $70 for the taxi. But they also had a bus sitting right out front that left about 30 minutes later, and that sucker was $2. And let me tell you, in Thailand, they drive fast. This dude was flying. Honestly, I was scared. I'm not even lying. This dude was flying, and it was raining. They just had like this monster rainstorm, so like half of the road, one of the major roads got like completely collapsed in a landslide. But definitely you're gonna want to take as much money as you can, and if you're seriously thinking about coming to do it, spend the extra time. You know, a lot of people are in a rush, you know, they want to come out in a hurry and they want to come, but stay the extra 3, 6, 9 months, a year, because trust me, if you're really gonna come to Asia and you really want to do something like this, the more time you can prepare for it, the better. Trust me. So I was a little impatient. My lease was ending, and that was a big reason why I left at the time that I did. But honestly, in hindsight, I should have probably stayed a few more months and worked more, you know? I mean, in another 6 months even, time goes by so fast, you know? And when you're wanting to go, it seems like it's going slow, but once you get here, it just flies right by. I want to talk about the most difficult things that I've come across so far. Honestly, I'll say the most difficult things that has been so far has just been the consistency. Coming up with new ideas, regularly uploading videos, and sticking to the game plan. You know, like I said, it's very difficult, especially when you jump countries, because unless you got some crazy content that really takes off, every time you go to leave a country, the YouTube algorithm is just a big software, you know, it gets confused, it doesn't know what to do with your videos, and then you kind of get cut down. I think once you grow to a certain point, you're a lot less prone to that, just because you have more followers that your video gets pushed out to, it's just enough for it to spark, you know, and kind of catch that fire again. But for a channel like me, you know, I have 4,500 followers, it's pretty minimal, you know. Another thing I don't do since I've been in Vietnam I haven't been translating my videos to Vietnamese. I know that would get me a ton of more views. The problem is I'm trying to get more foreigner viewers right now, subscriber base. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, you can kind of get stuck in that country's little algorithm. You really go in on it, which is fine if you're gonna stay there. It's a great thing to do. But I don't know if I'm gonna stay here long term, for how long it's gonna be here. For example, I've seen some Philippine YouTubers have big channel. I think they had like 600,000 subscribers. They were an American couple, As soon as they get a lot of views in the Philippines, as soon as they went home for like 6 months, they started posting videos there. Their videos were getting like 2,000 views. That's insane. With 600,000 subscribers, only a couple thousand views. So it's easy to get locked into that. You know, like I said, the software doesn't know what to do with your video. But listen, if you like to make videos and you're the kind of person where you're cool with always being on the camera and filming everything shamelessly, then you'll be all right. You'll figure that one out for sure. So if you're thinking about coming, you definitely should. Also, like I said, if you're thinking about doing something more on the edge, if you're a little shameless and you're willing to go kind of push the edge, then you'll do great here, especially in Thailand and places like that. Basically what it comes down to is 70% of YouTube is men. That will kind of sum it up for you. 70% of the viewers are men. If you're gonna do it, make sure you have enough money. You don't need a lot of equipment, just use your iPhone or something like that. You don't need a drone, it's nice to have one. Like I said, don't think there's too many people doing it, because a lot of people are coming and then it's gonna crash. You know, a lot of people aren't gonna stay consistent. Like I was saying earlier, I myself wasn't as consistent at certain points. I hope this video helped you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.